as big as you are, as public, quote unquote, you are, right? You really pick and choose what to be public about. As much as that I am became this like a little bit of a public figure, I could still dictate my storyline and what I was showing and sharing and what I wasn't.
Welcome to Leaf Notes, the podcast that helps your business take root and grow. I'm Adria Marshall, seasoned business owner and speaker.
And I'm Sanima Fuka, artist, illustrator, and small business owner.
Join us each week as we take you on a journey through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. We'll dive into everything from social media strategy to protecting your business.
We'll even answer your burning questions such as, do I need a business plan? Should I form an LLC? Where should I promote my business? And so much more.
Together with our guests, we'll break down these topics into actionable steps, helping you build the business of your dreams.
So whether you're just starting or you're looking to scale, we got you covered.
So go grab your notebooks, your favorite beverage, and cozy up to receive practical insights and inspiration here on Leaf Notes. Let's go make your business dreams a reality. Hey, Mallory, so great to have you on the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You know, the first thing I wanted to ask you, me and Sydney were talking about this the other day. Everyone who we know who is from Chicago loves Chicago. Yeah. So what is it about Chicago that just makes it so awesome?
That's so hard. That is true.
Yes.
It's like everyone's always like, get you someone who loves you the way Chicagoans love
Right.
Chicago. And I definitely feel that way. And people probably get tired of me talking about like being from Chicago and the South Side, because I definitely rep that with so much
Yep.
pride. I don't know. I mean, a big thing for me is like the food scene
Yep.
is amazing. Like, I mean, there's so much good food and just like a diverse amount of it. You can get kind of like food from every ethnic background,
Right.
which is amazing. Um, I mean, it's just so beautiful.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, like the skyline is gorgeous. I've been to so many other places, and I don't think any skyline tops our
Right.
skyline. The lake's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's pretty clean
Yeah.
for a big city. And I don't know, like honestly, I feel like the people are great.
Mhm.
I sometimes I know when I go to other places and I tell people where I'm from, Chicago does get a really bad rep.
Mm.
I feel like the narrative a lot about Chicago is not always great, and I think a lot of times that's the fault of the media for
Okay.
sure. And yeah, like we definitely have our issues like every other big
Right.
city, but there's so many amazing people and hardworking people
Yeah.
and, great organizations and
Right.
so much awesome work being done here.
And
So it's a
I'm
great
I'm
city.
glad you brought that up because I'm sure that had an effect on your career goal choice, right?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I work with an organization named After School Matters. And for me, I've always been very service
Mhm.
oriented, right? I think it is so important to me to give back in some way, shape, or form. And so, I've been in public relations and media relations for, almost 10 years
Mm.
now, which is kind of hard to believe.
Right.
But, I've always worked with clients that are nonprofits. It's always important to me to, elevate their stories. And yeah, I think right now working with After School Matters, it's very near and dear to my heart because I was actually a teen in those
Oh,
programs. So
wow.
I saw firsthand the impact that a program like that has on a young person,
Mhm.
especially a young person that grows up in Chicago on, the South or West
Mhm.
sides, right? I mean, um there is a difference, right? There's less resources. It can feel like not having connections to as many mentors,
Right.
and so that's something that this program connected me to, right? Like amazing expert
Mhm.
instructors that I could learn from. It gave me opportunities to like participate in programs that I wouldn't have had the ability to participate in otherwise. I was like very into arts. We didn't have the best art programs in our schools,
Yep.
so I took these animation programs that honestly really opened my worldview, and not only just the program, but the fact that like so many communities in Chicago are still unfortunately a little bit segregated,
Hmm.
right? And so I know for my community, it was predominantly Latino. And so I was able to like go downtown and meet my peers from like all over the city, right? From the north side, from the west side, and all different ethnicities. And at that point, like I had never met anybody who was Jewish.
Right.
I had never met anybody who was Asian because my whole community really more or less looked the
Hmm.
same. And so I think it really creates a sense of
Yeah.
understanding. You know, it breaks down fear,
Hmm.
right? And I think when you the fear of the other,
Right.
um, and it also lets you know that, like, you know what, like I may not be in the best neighborhood with the most resources. I may not come from a family. You know, my parents didn't go to college. I don't have the same type of connections, but I'm in this program with kids who have some of those
Mhm.
resources, right? And I'm doing the same work, right? And
Right.
I'm doing well at it. And so it really builds that
That's
confidence.
so important, right?
It's so important. So yeah, I could talk so much about this. I absolutely love the work, and it's so important. And it's like the impact that it had on me.
Hmm.
I get to talk to teens every day, and I get to talk to people older than me that participate in the program, and they say the same thing. Like this, it's had the same impact on them. So it's great to see that the work works
Right.
and that it's still working, even you know more than 30 years since it was founded. So it's
That
great.
is so amazing, and I don't think that anything happens by accident. I was just reading my devotional before our podcast, and it was about the importance of sharing your story. And it is so important. And it was saying that, no matter how insignificant you think your story is, there's somebody who needs to hear your story. So I think that's so incredible. And I think a lot of us, we fail to pay it forward and give back. And so it's really, really important. See, I know for you being an artist, also that can resonate with you as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to say that I think it's very powerful that an organization like this had so much impact that multiple people that were involved decided to pay it forward in that way. That's huge. That just shows the impact for sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I do love your comment about sharing your story, because I think that that is something for sure I've always struggled with. I feel like, and I know a lot of people do. To your point, you feel like, well, I haven't done anything like that big or
Right.
that great. Like, how am I gonna inspire
Mm.
somebody? But it's the little things
Yeah.
that you don't even realize, right? It's like the person who sees themselves in you and
Hmm.
can say like, wow, like that impacted me.
Right.
And I'm like, man, even if it's one or two people, like it
It
matters. It
matters.
definitely
It
does.
really,
Yeah.
really does matter. And
Mhm.
yeah, and no matter how tiny it is, somebody's like, man, like, if I bet if she can do it, I bet I can do it too,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
important. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Where did you get your service minded attitude from? Was that your parents also? Do they have that same
Mhm.
mentality?
Yeah, I think, growing up, definitely very service
Hmm.
minded. My siblings even, are all kind of in those fields. My sister for sure is my inspiration.
Yeah.
She was like the first one of us to go to college, and she really focused on helping the victims of crimes,
Mm.
right? Through the process, going through trial to understand like what's happening, and just to make sure that they had everything that they needed. And so that for me really did inspire me to go into a similar field and always just feel like I wanted to give back and help. But yeah, my parents just like even if it wasn't always like my mom was a teacher's aide, my dad, worked for the Chicago Transit
Hmm.
Authority, the CTA. He was like a bus repairman, very
Yeah.
hardworking, middle class family. And I think more than anything, I think just seeing the service and sacrifice that they did for us
Just
more than
inspiring,
anything,
right? Yeah.
yeah, it was so inspiring. And it's, I think about it sometimes, and I talked to my parents about it, my mom, and I said, you get when you're little, you don't really understand things, right?
Hmm.
And I remember just being like embarrassed about our car or home because it wasn't like new or flashy, and some of my friends had nice stuff. And then it's like, God, I apologize to my mom, and
Mm.
I'm like, I'm so sorry that I ever felt that way, because like I realize now that you sacrificed everything
Everything.
for our
Yeah.
education, because you knew that a good education was a tool
Yeah.
to get out of, you know, those our community, or just have more than they had. So
Well, that is
they,
amazing. I can tell from listening to you and
yeah,
hearing about your family that your parents are amazing. So you
yes,
um, tell her thank you for me.
I
It makes
will.
a
Yes,
big deal. It makes a
I get emotional.
Yeah, for
Sorry.
sure. No, I'm the same way when I talk about my mom because yeah, when you're a child, you don't see it from that lens, but when
Mhm.
you get older, it's like, wow, they did so much,
Yeah,
made really good decisions. So that is amazing.
yeah,
We can switch gears. Let's talk about
yeah.
hair. So
Yes.
I fell in love with you and your curls watching Love is Blind, of course. And so
Mm,
I was so excited when I got to meet you at CurlyCon. Tell me a little bit, and I'm
yes.
excited that like every picture when I look online, I see you with curly hair. So it seems like you've really embraced it. I want to hear more about your journey growing up with curly hair.
Yeah, so it's so funny. So my dad has really curly
Mm,
hair. My mom doesn't. She has like very straight hair, thicker hair,
mm,
but I feel like she never knew what to do with my
right.
hair. So she didn't know anything about product, like she didn't like do it for herself, right? And so I really didn't even know I had curly hair until I was probably like
Oh
18.
wow.
Like 19. Yeah, cuz I always just thought my hair was just kind of frizzy and
Mm-hmm.
unruly. So a lot of times I would just, I would straighten it all the time, or I would pull it back. I just didn't know what to do with it really. And then of course I discovered products.
Yes,
Kind of felt I my first was like Suave
of
Mousse
course.
was what I did. And it worked. And then I discovered, I'm like, oh, I have curls. I have nice curls. And from there I just, I never wanted to straighten my hair again. Like I really loved it. And I think, I got so many compliments
Hmm.
on it. It wasn't something like, people didn't see it as much. I feel like maybe when I was, it was kind of getting bigger, but still straightening your hair was still kind of what everyone did in the
Hmm.
norm. So yeah, as much as I could, I really always wore my hair natural. I really loved it. And it's interesting though, I think a lot about when I started kind of thinking about like, oh, straightening it more often again was when I kind of went into like the corporate world.
Hmm.
And that was always an interesting dynamic
Hmm.
because there was this sense of not feeling
Professional.
professional
Yeah.
enough with my curly hair, or not feeling like I'd be maybe taken as seriously.
Hmm.
And so I'm happy that that is changing. Like I think that that narrative is definitely changing, and people are embracing more like their natural hair and wearing it for, you know, in board meetings or in
Hmm.
corporate settings, it for big events. I think that was another thing. I'm like, oh, I have to straighten my hair. I have to
Right.
like style it. And so that's still something that I even struggle with, like I'm like, oh, maybe I should straighten it for this. And a lot of times I'll kind of go against that, and I'll be like, you know what? Nope, I'm gonna rock my curls because they look great, and they work for this event, and anything else,
Right.
I won't wear them for. But yeah, so it's
A
definitely been
journey.
a
Yeah.
a journey,
Hmm.
yes.
And I think
Hmm.
when we were chatting before, you mentioned that you were using Rizzo's curls, right? And I hear those products are
Yes.
amazing and it's Latina
Hmm.
owned. What do you
Hmm.
look for when you are looking for a new product?
I think for me, I really do I try lots of different products. Like I really do try different things all the time, because I feel like sometimes, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but sometimes when I use a product for too long,
Your hair gets
I
used
feel
to
like it
it.
doesn't have, yeah,
Hmm.
your hair gets used to it. I don't feel like it has the same impact. But for me, it's really just like the how my hair feels
Hmm.
after it's styled, like the feel of it, like the weight of it.
Hmm.
I love eco-friendly products, is a big thing for me. I really do love supporting black and brown owned businesses. So that's another thing I like to look for as well when I'm using products. Um, yeah, I think those are like some of the main things.
Cool. Yeah. So when you tried, we were honored to give you some of our samples to try.
You're welcome.
Which ones did you like? Which ones did you not like as much? And yeah, let us know which ones were your favorites.
Yeah, I think my favorite were definitely the chai latte cleanser I
That's so good.
loved, and
Hmm.
yes, and the orange marmalade styling gel
Okay.
I really love too. I actually like use that for my curls today.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and so I think with the cleanser again, I just love how like how natural it feels, and also like it just leaves my hair. It's like very gentle, like a very gentle cleanser, but
Hmm.
I love that it like makes my hair feel like soft and just like hydrated
Yeah.
after I use it. And for the gel, a big thing with that again, it's like I like that it defines my curls, but it's still they still feel like soft and bouncy, you know?
Hmm.
They don't feel like over processed. I don't feel like there's like a lot of buildup and things like that.
Right.
So yeah, those have definitely been my
I am
go-to.
so
And I
excited to hear that you're using them today because your
yeah.
hair looks amazing. So that's like,
Yeah,
that's so
thank you.
awesome.
Thanks. I know I was like, well, if I'm doing this, I'm definitely gonna like rock my curls and like obviously the product because I love it.
One thing that I thought was really cool about you, most people when they are getting onto TV or whatever, like that is their goal. That's like their
Mhm.
career goal, and they really push forward with that. But it seemed like your journey was a little bit different. I would love to hear
Mhm.
about how you make your decisions on how to navigate, your career
Mhm.
as a communications manager
Mhm.
with your career
Yeah.
in the limelight. How do you balance those two?
Honestly, it has been such a learning
Yeah.
curve. It was something where, it's when I share this with people, they don't and I get it kind of is hard to understand, right? Because I will say like I didn't realize the full extent of like what was gonna come with this.
Mm,
And it's hard because people are like, "Oh, well, like, how could you not? It's like on Netflix."
yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, but like you don't you can't imagine it because you've never been
Hmm.
there. So you really don't know what it is. Like even if you look at people from the first season, right? And you're like, you can see that some like blew up and then
Hmm.
they kind of took off into like this influencing role and all these other things. You don't know how you're going to come off. You
Right.
don't know how they're going to necessarily edit you,
Yeah.
right? And what narrative and storyline you're going to get. And I tell people like, yes, of course, like that was me, very much
Yeah.
so. But there were so many conversations and moments that were cut out,
I
right?
bet. I
To
can
have
only imagine.
yes, to have a certain type of narrative. So you really don't know like what the end product's going to be. And then I think then when it, kind of hit and everything just started kind of taking off, and even when like looking at social media was just like kind of going
Yeah.
crazy, I like did not know what to do. Like
Wow.
I felt so lost with it. And I think a part of it is because like I really, I really did go into this with the idea that like this could work for me,
Right.
right? Like that I could find someone and maybe this could work, maybe naively.
Yeah.
Um, but so like this other aspect that came from it, I had a hard time with
Hmm.
for sure. And I think because I am more of a private
Yeah.
person, and so is my family.
Hmm.
So it was very hard for me to figure out how to like navigate in that new world. What I found though is that so I think so there was that, right? And so there was a part of me that's like, okay, you know what? I did this, like here I am, and like this part didn't work out for me, right?
Hmm.
Like I didn't find the love or like whatever, but I was like let me run with this a bit
Hmm.
and just kind of see like where it takes
Right.
me. And I think at the end of the day, like God doesn't give you things that you really can't
Yeah.
handle. I think things do really happen for a
Hmm.
reason. And so yeah, it was really hard to juggle. I was working my job, and then, trying to juggle like going to different events and sharing stuff on social, right? And having maybe like some partnerships and things like
Hmm.
that. And so it really took a toll. And
It
I
has
can't
to.
even lie, there was so much burnout. I
Yeah.
mean, the burnout is real.
I can
And like
imagine.
some of the oh yeah, and even like some of the anxiety and depression. I
Mm.
mean, I don't know how people who are even more like A-list celebrities
Right.
and stuff deal with this because it is a different beast for sure.
It really has to be. So like if someone is a really private person like you, and I could tell by your background that you are, and your love for your
Mhm,
family and your city and all of that.
mhm,
So if someone wanted to like reach out of that a little bit and get into the public sector more, the
mhm.
limelight more, what advice would you give them? Would it be to like, really sit and consider and think about it?
Yeah, I would say really think about, what it is that you really want from it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then how does it really match with your goals and your values,
Mm-hmm.
right? Does it? And I would say too, what I did learn though is that as big as you are, as public, quote unquote, you are, right? You really pick and choose what to be public about and what
Mm-hmm.
really how much to give and how little to
Mm-hmm.
give. And that is one thing that I started to realize. As much as that I am became this like a little bit of a public figure, I could still dictate my
Yeah.
storyline and what I was showing and sharing and what I wasn't. I mean, even now, um, I can still be very guarded. I'm still very protective of my
Mm-hmm.
family. So I'll show them sometimes. Obviously, I'll always ask them if they're okay with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm very respectful because I know that, this is something I chose to do, not
Right.
them. And so I'm, always respectful of their wishes, and even with friends, I'm very thoughtful of that, right? To
Mm-hmm.
make sure like people are okay with those things. But yeah, that's what I would definitely give that
And that makes
advice.
a lot of sense.
To
And I think it was really impactful what you said is like just because I signed up for it doesn't mean my family signed up for it, doesn't mean my friends signed up for it. And that's something that people may not think about when they're doing, they just want to meet their own goals,
Yeah.
but they're not thinking about how it can impact those around them that they really care about.
What do you think is the best thing that came out of being a public figure?
Honestly, I feel like now that I can look back on it, I think when it first all came out, I was like, "What the hell did I do?" And what was I thinking? But now that I look back, I'm like, "Oh man, what a awesome, crazy
Hmm.
experience." Like, I think to say that I did it now, I'm actually proud of myself because I really pushed myself out of my comfort
Hmm.
zone in so many ways. I think some of the people that I got to meet and just some of the cool experiences I've had from that event, I really appreciate. I've grown so much as a person. And I think that's one thing, right? Like sometimes I'm always like, it can be definitely my worst critic, and I will be the hardest on myself. But to take a moment to like reflect on where I was before it
Yeah.
and where I'm at now, and yeah, I can really say like I've really grown a lot. But and I think the women, honestly, the women that I met through the
Hmm.
show was one of the best things that I got from it. They're amazing. We're still friends. We still talk a lot and hang out and ask each other for advice. And so that was one of the best things I got out of it. But I think just like the growth I got was another really great thing.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of strength. Like I can't imagine putting myself out
I
there and how did you handle like people talk a lot, especially behind a screen, people are
Mhm.
bold. So like
Yes. Mhm.
how were you always a person that didn't really care what people thought about you? I feel like I'm an aspiring artist and I use social media and that's one of my biggest
Mhm.
uh fears, I think.
Man, I know. I am, like I said, I have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
It was something that was very difficult for me. I can be a little sensitive. I can definitely take things to heart. I wear my heart on my sleeve for certain things. So it's really hard. I'll say that's one thing is I developed a thicker skin for sure from it, but it's still hard. I mean, I still struggle when posting things. Like I'm still like I am not like everyone will be like I am the worst influencer probably that came out of this because I struggle. Like I will overthink the post, the
Mhm.
picture, what I'm saying. am I sharing too much? I should say it this way. I probably rewrite things like 12 times before I even
Well, because
post
people
it.
are mean.
Oh
Oh my
man, people
God,
are
the
just can be
worst.
brutal. Yeah, it's like, but I think I think that's one thing I've been telling myself recently, and I want to take that into the new year is like, don't take things so seriously,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Don't take life so seriously. Even with stuff like that, I have to like give myself a pep talk and be like, you know what? I just want to post this.
Hmm.
I don't even care if it's like the best picture or not, or if I look the best or not, or it might be a stupid caption, but whatever. Like
Hmm.
I'm just posting it, and people are gonna either like it or they're not. And the people that gravitate to it are my people.
Yep.
So, and I'm trying to be more in that mindset, and hopefully
It'll
2024
be your
even more
year.
so.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully, yeah.
All right. Well, we can almost wrap it up. Mallory, where can people find you right now? And how can we support you in After School Matters and any other great things that you're up to?
Yeah, so if you want to support After School Matters, like if you want to donate or just
Yeah.
find out more information, you can go to afterschoolmatters.org. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on my IG at Mallory Zapata. I promise I am trying to share more about my story and be better about that in 2024 as well. Because to your point, I think that every story is important,
Yep.
and everyone and anyone can have an impact on someone. So.
Absolutely. Hey, Sydney,
Mhm.
the guest that we had on the show before,
Oh,
she had a question for you. So what we're
yes.
trying to do, Mallory, we don't know how this is
Oh,
going to
yeah.
work. We're asking each
Yeah.
guest to ask the next guest, like a question they want you to answer. Go
Okay.
ahead, Sydney.
Okay, so what is your favorite childhood memory?
Um, okay, so favorite childhood memory, I would say it's definitely like memories, but growing up, so my sister's 15 years older than me. She's like my mom for a long
Mm.
time, and like my best friend. But when I was born, I was definitely an oops baby. Um, my parents were tired already. I was like the fourth. And my sister was like living her life, kind of doing her own thing. But almost every weekend, she picked me up and she would, take me out, take me to places. I would spend the night at her place on the
Mm.
weekends, and we would watch movies. And every morning, she would make me a breakfast, chocolate chip
Oh
pancakes, and
man.
So
she was
good.
just like, yeah, just like the best big sister
For
ever,
sure.
and those are the best memories I have. It's definitely with
That
her.
is a good
That's a
one.
beautiful memory. I'm
Yeah.
also I'm 16,
Mhm.
16 years older than my littlest sister. So I need to step up my game.
Yeah, I know it.
Trust me, I know. I have like older nephews, and like I was not like in high school. I was, you're like always worried about your own thing,
Yeah.
and so now I really try to always be there as much as I can for them and do as much as I can because they will. It's like you definitely remember those
Yeah, right.
things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you have a question for our next guest?
I know I've heard this before, but like if you could meet anyone, either dead or alive, and have coffee with them, who would it be?
Awesome.
Or a drink?
Oh, that one almost made me cry. I'd be crying. I'm sorry.
She
That
is.
one
Yeah.
almost made me cry.
She cries all the time.
I
Mallory's so
do.
embarrassed.
I do too. I do too. So good.
Thank you so much, Mallory. This was awesome. The best conversation of the day for sure.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys.
Thank you for listening to Leaf Notes. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment below and let us know what your takeaway was. Or if you're listening, take a screenshot, post on social media with your takeaway. This will help us reach more small business owners just like yourself. If you would like to leave us a review, head over to your favorite podcast app and drop that 5-star rating. Your feedback helps others find our show. And until next time, we hope your business takes root and grows.